Hey guys, what's up? Back with another video, and on today's video I am going to review the WWE Royal Rumble from January of 2008 on this journey as we go through this journey together of this 2008, through the year of 2008 and beyond. Let's see how far I go up to. So let's kick this off, shall we? We've got the Royal Rumble of 2008 from January 2008. Let's kick this off, shall we? We have a career-threatening matchup as Ric Flair puts his career on the line against MVP. The next match that Ric Flair loses, he must retire from WWE as he takes on the United States Champion MVP in a non-title match. So pretty obvious which way this one's going, as the title is not up for grabs on this one. So the champion has a excuse to lose but still keep the title because it's more about Ric Flair's career than it is about the actual title itself. Yeah, it was a pretty okay matchup. Nothing flashy. Didn't outstay its welcome. I thought the match was okay. I didn't really feel at any point that Ric Flair's career was going to end with MVP pinning Ric Flair. There was a point where Ric Flair did get pinned, but his foot was on the rope and Charles Robinson waved off the count. So, but that was the only time that Ric Flair's career actually did feel like, like MVP had a chance. But apart from, that was just a false finish for the sake of doing a false finish. I thought the match was okay. It was I didn't think that at any point Ric Flair's career was going to end on this match on this night, considering this is the first pay-per-view of the Ric Flair stipulation of where if you lost the next match he lost, he would have to retire. This is the first pay-per-view since that was put into effect. So yeah, I didn't really see Ric Flair losing here, and he didn't. He ended up making MVP tap out. But MVP doesn't lose anything because he's still got the United States Championship. He's just that Ric Flair, the old dog survived another day. So it was an okay opener. Nothing too much to talk about. It didn't, as I said, it didn't outstay its welcome. As we move on to the next matchup, which is Chris Jericho taking on John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL. This one was okay. It was a pretty nothing match, really. They tried to bring some personal elements into the match by bringing up JBL bringing up Jericho's kids and calling Daddy a coward. But apart from that, it was really a nothing match. Chris Jericho, of course, returned to the WWE in November of 2007, and here we are 2 months into his return, and he's facing the guy who spent most of Jericho's time away. Was on commentary, so it wasn't a good return for Chris Jericho. Back to the mid card goes Y2J, and he has a pretty nothing match here with JBL. The crowd didn't really seem to care too much about it, and it had a very lame DQ finish and a post match that was edited off the DVD version because I think I read somewhere that he tried, Jericho hung him with a camera cord. And but for some reason on the DVD version, this DVD version I have, it just it cut to the next segment. So I don't know if they didn't, maybe didn't want to show someone getting hung. I completely understand it, especially with the Benoit incident. 6 months or something before this, like the Benoit incident happened. So I completely understand. But there again, don't do the fucking hanging segment in the first place. So I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. I understand why they didn't show it on the DVD, but they shouldn't have done it in the fucking first place if they didn't want to, if it's too fresh with the Benoit incident. So, anyway, that being said, it was a nothing match with a lame DQ. Let's move on to the next matchup. As we pick up the pace here with Edge versus Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight Championship. Solid matchup, awesome match. I had a lot of fun with this match. Basically, Edge and Vicky Guerrero were dating in storyline at the time, and Rey Mysterio was the #1 contender. And of course, with Mysterio's history, the world-famous history with the Guerrero family, it made sense for why Rey Mysterio was in the spot against Edge, especially with the Vicky Guerrero connection. It was a pretty fun match. The New York City crowd hated Rey Mysterio for some reason, and it made the match extra fun because maybe the New York City crowd knew what kind of sins that Rey Mysterio was going to bring to the WWE in a couple of years' time, with his son Dominic Mysterio. That's just a little joke. yeah, maybe the WWE Universe saw into the future and saw what kind of spoiled, disgusting behavior Dominic Mysterio was going to become. So maybe that's why they booed Rey Mysterio on this night. But yeah, the match itself was alright. It was pretty good, pretty solid stuff. And Edge and Mysterio always bring it, like they always do. And Vicky Guerrero, the ending came where Vicky Guerrero sacrificed herself by placing herself in to take the brunt of the 619, and as Rey Mysterio was checking to make sure to see what happened with Vicky, trying to digest what had happened, he jumped right into a spear from Edge for the victory, and true love prevails as Vicky Guerrero and Edge would pick up the win as Vicky would sacrifice herself in order to Edge to retain the world title. So true love prevails in the end. You gotta love it. Anyway, I had a pretty awesome time watching this match. It was pretty awesome stuff to see. As we move on to the next segment, which is Maria Kanellis came out to do a Royal Rumble kiss cam thingy. It was some filler. It was just there as a backdrop for Ashley Mazzaro to come out and try to convince Maria Kanellis to pose for Playboy. Santino, the boyfriend of Maria in storyline, came out and put a stop to it, and I think this would lead to Maria actually posing for Playboy, which led to the split of Santino and her. I think Santino played a good heel. Here he had to go at the New York American football teams for being terrible, and it was pretty fun, a pretty entertaining segment, until he brought out Big Dick Johnson, which is always a negative in my opinion, because I don't like to see a big fat jolly guy shaking his bits, no matter what fucking era we're in. It's just, really turns your stomach, you know what I mean? Anyhow, Ashley Mazzaro waxed him with a rubber chicken, and I wish I was making this shit up. But yeah, it was a pretty fun segment overall, apart from the jiggly fat guy jiggling his bits around. It was a sign of the times, I guess. I try to keep my lunch up. Anyway, keep my lunch down, sorry. Don't want to bring me lunch up, that's a wrong choice of words. Anyhow, we move on to the next matchup. We have the WWE Championship on the line, as Randy Orton defends the championship against the number one contender, Jeff Hardy, who earns this opportunity by beating Triple H at Armageddon in December. It was a pretty solid matchup. You know, the crowd wanted to see Jeff Hardy win. This would be Jeff Hardy would have a tremendous 2008 as his rise to the top of the WWE Championship. But unfortunately, on this night, he would suffer a twist of fate of his own, as Randy Orton would counter the twist of fate into the RKO. A great counter. It was one of those sequences where Randy Orton actually hit the RKO from out of nowhere. Looked awesome, the finish did. And it was a pretty okay match, pretty solid matchup, nothing to complain about. And Randy Orton goes in to gets one step closer to going into WrestleMania as the WWE Champion, as he defeats Jeff Hardy on this night. I thought it was pretty solid stuff. As we move on to the next matchup, which is the Royal Rumble match itself. It was an okay Rumble. It was an okay Rumble that was elevated by number 30 coming out, and I'll get to that in a minute. We do kick off the Royal Rumble with The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, which I thought was pretty cute, considering that they finished the Royal Rumble in 2007. They were the final two the year previous. The Royal Rumble itself, it was okay, but I did feel myself drifting off a couple of times. But then eventually, when we did get to the later numbers, it started to pick up, especially with number 30, which quite possibly could be one of my favorite Royal Rumble returns of all time. I'm speaking, of course, about the guy front and center on the cover right here. We have John Cena. His return in 2008 after missing 3 months of action, when he was supposed to be out for 6 to 12 months with a torn pec. With a torn pectoral muscle in his shoulder in October, and he went down with the injury in October, and he comes back in January. It was just amazing, that moment of him coming out and doing the pose at the top on the rampway with where he puts his arms, crosses his arms, and then raises his head and kind of does like a pose. that was like, that moment right there is absolutely fantastic. It will live with me forever, and I've been seeing that moment over and over again. Seeing my childhood hero John Cena win the Royal, go on, come back after this and win the Royal Rumble. It came down to him and Triple H. It really elevated this OK Rumble to a pretty good Royal Rumble, in my opinion. Triple H, from that moment on, from when Cena came in, the crowd were electrifying. Not to take a thingy from The Rock here, but yeah, it was electrifying. It was awesome. It was an awesome atmosphere. It came down to Triple H and John Cena, because of course it would. And John Cena was able to eliminate Triple H, and it was pretty fun. It really really left me in high hopes for the Royal Rumble. I was really happy at the end of the Royal Rumble, as you can tell. I'm still trying to get over it, as I just finished literally watching it about a minute before I came up to do this review. I thought it was pretty solid stuff, and it really made me happy. So anyway, I'm going to give this Royal Rumble a 7 out of 10. There was some couple of things at the start that it was a tough going at the start. With Ric Flair's match was okay, and then of course the lame DQ Chris Jericho finish. Well, apart from that, I liked the Edge match. I thought that was pretty solid. The Randy Orton Jeff Hardy match was decent, and of course we had a pretty okay Royal Rumble, which was elevated by the return of John Cena. You can't see me. Yeah, that was awesome. That probably made me sound fucking lame. I'm sorry. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid Rumble. That's why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Tell me what you think in the comments. Leave a like if you deserve it, and I'll see you guys on the next one, whatever that may be. There is a Saturday night's main event coming up next week, so look out for the predictions for that. But until next time, much love and peace, and I'm out.